Hey, welcome along to this episode of Content Marketing Commute, episode 20, my friends. We made it to episode 20. You might have heard that stat. I can't remember the exact numbers of it, but very few podcasts make it to episode 20 or 21 or something. So, milestone here on the podcast today, and you're here for it. Beautiful spring morning here in the south of France. Actually, it's pretty cloudy, but look, a bit of blue sky there. And guys, I'm ripping my swag, super fun marketing podcast swag. Can you see it well? There it is. And this is my sister-in-law's podcast. It's called the Super Fun Marketing Podcast, and I do encourage you to check it out. Link in the description wherever you're watching or listening. It's great. Well, episode 20, guys. We're out here and it's going to be a short one. It's one of our About Last Week episodes. I'm on my commute from my home back to my home to start work. And there's a dog just running along the road towards me. Oh, it stopped. It's doing its business. We'll just leave it. So, episode 20, About Last Week. And last week I spoke to Romain Dutrieux, who is head of marketing at Pigment, and that was a fantastic conversation. I so enjoyed it. Oh, he's off again. Can you see him? There he goes. By the way, if you are just listening on the podcast apps, all of that won't have made much sense to you, but you do need to come on over to contentmarketingcommute.com and watch the full video of this. You'll see dogs running around. You'll see the beautiful surrounds of the south of France this morning. So we spoke to Romain Dutrieux from Pigment about content and the CMO, or content and the head of marketing, what he looks for in content, how it fits in his team, how a modern marketing leader is thinking about content marketing. And it was so good. And one piece I want to focus in on from that episode today is around outbound. Okay, outbound. To me, outbound, at one time in my life, felt like a dirty word, right? Because I was a HubSpot convertee. I took the inbound methodology and worldview, hook, line, and sinker, and I absolutely loved it. Don't interrupt people. Just let them come to you. Do great stuff and they'll come to you. There's so many dogs around this morning. Sorry about that. So that was me, inbound marketing. I still love it, but I've become a little bit more realistic these days and a little bit more conscious that build it and they will come doesn't always work. And so we spoke a little bit about that with Romain last week. And one particular thing he talked about, which was so interesting, is at Pigment, the role of content is really different because they're not needing to use content to generate leads every week and month because their outbound function is so strong. So he talked about how they have literally a team of 30 to 40 BDRs, crazy, but amazing, who know all of the people in their ICP who they're going to sell to. They're on their radar. They have a way of ensuring that those people are conscious of Pigment, aware of Pigment, and they're generating those leads via outbound rather than having to rely on it via inbound. And it's an interesting model, not for everyone. And inbound, I think, is really powerful as well. But what it got me thinking is, talking about today, a topic of how content teams can work with outbound sales, whether that's BDRs or just that whole motion of doing outbound sales. And I think content has been traditionally much more seen as an inbound play, and sure it is, but that doesn't mean that it can't also be an outbound play, and also within this mindset of content being the fuel to all of marketing, right? Just 3 quick points I want to bring up around that today, and the first is really around how content can work with your BDRs. So just really broadly as a first point, a BDR, a business development representative, or an SDR, sales development rep, these tend to be the more junior people in a SaaS company sales team who literally are doing a lot of outbound calling, cold calling, emailing, prospecting on LinkedIn and through other channels. And as you can imagine, that's a tough job. And I wouldn't want to do it ever. I'll be blatantly honest. We're honest here on Content Marketing Commute. Sometimes I look at those people's jobs and I think, good on you, buddy, because someone's got to do it. But I'm glad it's not me. And so, they're reaching out to people, they're pitching them, etc. We've all been pitched on LinkedIn. Connect with someone, they instantly pitch slap you right in the face with, let's book a call. How about no, okay? And so I think the way content teams can work with BDRs is really powerful, and a good BDR, a good SDR understands this. That content is like a door opener. It's a foot in the door, it's a reason to get in touch and to get back in touch a lot of times. So being able to work closely with your BDRs and SDRs and kind of create or take feedback on what kind of content would be interesting for them to be able to reach out or reach back out to the people that matter to your business is a great outbound play. And first thing that comes to mind is case studies. So you got these people, they tend to be oftentimes young, in their 20s, early 20s. Right now I'm working in a fintech company, and these people, they're calling CFOs, who are generally white dudes, let's be honest, in their 50s and 60s, and they're pitching them on a fintech product, and they're in their early 20s. So they're saying, hey, do you have these challenges? And let's be honest, they're not finance people, okay? And that's not their job. So being able to show the proof and take the conversation away from, I'm a BDR and I know about your challenges, to here's a company that we've worked with that face similar challenges to you. That's what content can do, and case studies specifically can do. So case studies that show what you've done and things that are similar and challenges that are similar to the people you're prospecting, super powerful in outbound. But that's not all. One thing we're really developing more and more in some of the work I'm doing with clients is this kind of data-led approach to content as well. Often if you work at a SaaS company, your product, by the very nature of it, will have data inside it that is proprietary to you, right? So you have users using your tool, they do stuff in your tool, and you could pull interesting data points and anonymize them from your platform and actually tell a story around that. So if you think about decision makers, whatever area they're in, they're always interested in understanding how their peers are doing their work, right? So if you can create content that talks about trends or ways that people are using your tool in innovative ways, which is really data-led, then that's really useful for outbound as well. So I'm working for this company called Upflow at the moment, fintech company I mentioned earlier. I'll just give you the name, as a freelancer. And it's a good example here because one thing we did recently was a 2023 recap of interesting data points from inside the tool. What Upflow does is it helps companies get paid faster and more efficiently. So, a lot of B2B companies, pretty much all B2B companies, struggle to get paid on time, and Upflow helps you with that. So one of these data points was the fact that 88% of invoices that were 1 year or more older got paid within a week through Upflow. So you're a new client, you have some invoices a year older or more, 88% of them got paid within a week. That's just an example to show you. We use that a lot in outbound because it shows how the CFO's peer is working and using our tool to do their job better. And that's just one example of content working well with the BDRs and the SDRs in that outbound motion. Use that data you have within the platform to tell stories. You have that data point, and what does it mean? So what? The so what there is that it means they can recover money they never thought they would be able to recover. And that's amazing. That's revolutionary for a company because it helps them continue their growth plans, continue hiring, they don't have to put that on pause, etc., etc. That so what is important as well. So that was number one. Number two today in content and outbound, I want to get on to ABM, account-based marketing, and we've all heard of it. We all think we know what it is, but do we really? Hint, it's not just running targeted ads at specific companies, okay? But, you know, one specific thing I really think about outbound and content is around ABM, because ABM done right, I think, is a content-led approach. And it's more than taking some white paper you already have and, you know, changing it a little bit and putting the company's name or a little bit of vertical information in it and running some ads with it. I think you can go so much further than that, and it can be done in such a powerful way to actually really engage prospects in your ICP. So let's talk through this. Account-based marketing, if you don't know, is essentially turning the funnel upside down. So if you're in the case of pigment, for example, that I talked about earlier, where you know all those companies within your target market that you want to do business with, and you can actually list all of them, then account-based marketing is going to be brilliant for you, specifically if you're on a bigger sort of enterprise deal size, because it takes a good amount of investment and you want to ensure that CAC is looking good, you know, that CAC, CAC CAC. This is where we put my kids' CAC, a different kind of CAC. that was awkward. So, account-based marketing, I ran into a really interesting example recently, and I can't remember the company, but I'm going to put the link in the description here, because what they did, they wanted to work, they're essentially some SaaS company, you know, around analytics or something. They wanted to work with T-Mobile as a customer. They knew that T-Mobile was absolutely in the center of their ICP, you know, that's the company they want to work with. They're ready to invest a bit to make sure they can, and it's a big deal if they land this right. So what they did was, did a good amount of research on the decision makers. Turns out one of those senior decision makers is real into comic books, okay? Don't judge him, he just still likes comic books, and that's fine. He's into comic books, and so literally, long story short, and there's a bunch more detail in the show notes, they wrote a comic book for him, right? And I just love this because they did it, it's such a creative way. And this guy probably receives 12,000 pitch slaps a day, but he doesn't receive 12,000 comic books written specifically for him and his business's challenges and what he loves. And so I just love that example. Sorry I can't remember the company, but check it out, link in description. That's the kind of creative thing that I think, specifically with outbound, you've got to be thinking to do, right? Everyone's doing it, everyone's getting pitch slapped, but that's a way to really, really stand out. And I think standing out is absolutely crucial, and content done the right way like this can help you do it. Okay, third and finally, and I hope you've enjoyed this short, snappy episode, we're going to talk about ads, running ads. Touched on it there in ABM, but often it's part of that kind of outbound motion. And, you know, ads, like them or loathe them, they're a part of a marketer's arsenal. They are part of a good marketing mix, let's be honest, whether it's on social, Google, you know, out of home even in some cases. And often what happens when we talk about ads, especially in B2B and in SaaS, is it instantly gets very bottom of funnel. It gets very, you know, try our product, we're the best, here's why you should work with us, etc. It gets very bottom of funnel and it gets very product led. And I think what content can bring to this is a sense that actually advertising is much more than that, and being able to run ads through your full funnel driven by content is really, really powerful. So what I think is interesting here is that you can actually get beyond only bottom of funnel advertising and actually use advertising as a way to distribute your content, as in the first case, right? So you still run kind of action-driven bottom of funnel ads, but mix that in with thinking about advertising as a distribution channel all the way along your funnel. And in outbound, this is really interesting because I don't have the numbers on me right now, but there's some stat out there was like, 8 in 10 or something like that. I'm making it up as I go along. I'm not making up the whole thing, the numbers. 8 in 10 something buyers already know the company they're going to work with. They're not going to end up buying from a company that they didn't know at the start. And so that brand awareness piece is so crucial. If these buyers are going out to companies and thinking about creating a, chances are they're going to end up working with someone they already know or they've already heard of. And so advertising, specifically higher up the funnel, can really help you to build that brand awareness. Sure, you might not see, you're not going to see direct sales conversations right off the back of that, but you can't forego that and you can't overlook that these days. When you think about a stat like that, the number of people that actually won't even consider a company they don't know, or maybe they'll half consider it, but at the end of the day, they're going to go with someone they knew before. So advertising, working closely with your, growth team and whoever runs ads at your company can be a great play to getting that solid in your company, to think about it as a distribution channel, not just kind of direct action driving channel and lead generating channel, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So this has been episode 20 of Content Marketing Commute. Hope you've enjoyed it. Those 3 quick points. I got to get back, go to work and get my work done. Believe it or not, it started raining and I'm sorry you had to see this. I've shattered the image that it's always sunny down here. But anyway, that's fine. So thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you again next week. From next week, got a bit of a special announcement that we're going to be scrapping this episode for a while, these About Last Week episodes, and we're going to run a series of, I think, 5 interview-based episodes, one after the other, week on week, 5 weeks in a row, from Amsterdam. It's the Amsterdam/Netherlands series, because there was one in Rotterdam. And you're going to love it. I talked to so many cool people up in the Netherlands recently that we're going to be starting to release those episodes from next week, so stay tuned. See you then, and let another content marketer marketing your life know about the podcast. Subscribe, give it a like, appreciate it. Bye-bye.